Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Botten, and I'm Chair of Aurelia Metals Limited. Welcome to our 2025 Annual General Meeting, and what will be my last AGM as Chair. I wish to thank everyone for attending today, whether in person or online. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Agara and Turrbal peoples, the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands upon which Aurelia operates and pay my respects to their elders past and present. Whilst every effort has been made to ensure today's meeting runs smoothly for those attending online, if technology issues do arise, a short recess or an adjournment may be required depending on the number of shareholders affected. If this occurs, I shall advise you accordingly. At this point, I kindly ask everyone in the room to please ensure your mobile phone is switched off or placed on silent mode. In the event of an emergency, an alarm will sound. Please follow the directions of Alan's staff. All of our board members are present today. On my far left-hand side is Lynn Brazel. Next door to Lynn is Rachel Brown. Next door to her and me is our Managing Director, Brian. And on my right-hand side, we have Bruce Cox, Susie Corlett, and Bob Vassy. We also have with us today Rochelle Carey, our Company Secretary, and members of our executive leadership team. So at the end of this meeting, please engage with them, ask them any questions and get to know them. Representing the company's auditor, Ernst & Young, is Miss Kelly McKenzie, who is available to answer any questions in relation to the audit of the company. And Kelly's up the front here. Under our constitution, a quorum for a shareholder meeting is 3 members, and we do have a quorum present here today, so I now declare the meeting open. I propose the notice of meeting dated 30th of October 2025, which was made available to shareholders, be taken as read. And so moving to the agenda for today's meeting, I will firstly deliver a brief address. Our Managing Director and Chief Executive, Brian Quinn, will then present on our FY25 performance and FY26 outlook. This will be followed by the formal business, which is to receive and consider Aurelia's FY25 financial statements and reports and put 4 resolutions to shareholders. The resolutions will cover 1, adoption of the FY25 remuneration report. 2, the re-election of Bruce Cox and the election of Rachel Brown as directors in accordance with the company's constitution. And 3, to issue performance rights to the Managing Director, Brian Quinn. Participation in the business of the meeting, including the asking of any questions, is confined to shareholders and people entitled to vote on behalf of shareholders. If you are in the room with us today and wish to ask a question, please stand and show your yellow or blue attendance card. Please state your name and then ask your question. If you are attending online, you will be able to ask questions either verbally or in writing. Please select the Ask a Question drop-down menu on your screen, click on the green Ask Question button, and then choose either text question or verbal question. A panel will open where you can type your question or register to ask it verbally. Please select the related resolution or general question and indicate the shareholding or capacity on behalf of which the question is being submitted, and then click Submit Question. Seems pretty complicated to me, but I'm sure it's not when you've got a computer right in front of you. Written questions will be read by a company secretary at the appropriate time. We will address any general questions after the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer's presentation. Written questions may be amalgamated when we answer them. If you are online and have chosen to ask your question verbally, I will invite you to ask your question at the appropriate time during the AGM. Please listen carefully for the invitation to speak and ensure your microphone is unmuted when called upon. Please note that there may be a delay between the submission of your question and us receiving the question. I therefore encourage you to submit your questions early. Before we turn to the formal business of the meeting, I'd like to make some opening remarks. In October 2025, I advised the board of my decision to step down as chair of Aurelia following the 2025 annual general meeting, this meeting. It's been a real privilege to serve on the Aurelia board over the last 4 years, during which time we have successfully navigated some particularly challenging times and made meaningful progress in delivering performance improvements across our operations and delivery of our growth projects. I'm proud of the improvements achieved in safety performance, operational reliability, and strategy delivery. The company is now in a strong position to continue delivering value for shareholders from its attractive assets in the Cobar region. We do, however, recognise that this is a journey and there's still a lot of work to do to deliver the core value of the business to our shareholders. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Miss Rachel Brown, who joined us as a non-executive director in October. Rachel brings governance and legal expertise along with broad experience across multiple sectors to the Aurelia board. This has been a year of disciplined execution and decisive progress at Aurelia. We continue to transform our business into a copper and base metals focused company that will play a meaningful role in the global transition to a low carbon economy. In FY25, we returned to profitability. Strong cash flow generation enabled us to self-fund our growth activities and maintain a debt-free balance sheet and more than $146 million in available liquidity. Productivity improvements across our mining and processing operations contributed meaningfully to these outcomes. Our Cobar Basin optimisation projects align with our growth strategy and journey we have started, which is based on building a more resilient, cash-generative business with higher margins and longer operating life. The projects are expected to unlock significant latent value in the Peak processing plant as throughput ramps up to between 1.1 and 1.2 million tonnes per annum. The Great Cobar project, also approved during the year, represents a transformational step in our journey towards becoming a substantial copper producer, with first ore scheduled in FY28. At Federation, first stope ore was fired in September, and in December, first ore from the mine was processed through our Peak processing plant. From that point, production ramp-up gained momentum. The ramp-up of Federation and further resource confirmation will remain core priorities for the business in FY26. Safety remains the foundation of everything we do, and I'm pleased that the FY25 total recordable injury frequency rates reduced by over 50% to 5.91. This reflects visible safety leadership, stronger risk management framework, and a safety-first culture. Safety at Aurelia also extends to safeguarding the psychological well-being of our people and our commitment to an inclusive workplace. Although there is still a lot to do to ensure Aurelia has an injury-free workplace, this is a core focus for the business right across the organisation. During FY25, the board oversaw strengthening of our risk management culture, conducting site visits to verify risk control effectiveness against the approved framework. Guided by our value of care, mine closure activities at Dargues progressed, and we are transforming the site in ways that demonstrate safe, responsible and sustainable closure practices. During FY25, the board undertook a comprehensive review and refinement of the company's strategic direction. This process reaffirmed our commitment to sustainability, productivity optimisation, disciplined growth, and a strong focus on our people and culture. We continue to align our organisational values and behaviours with our business objectives, ensuring that we build a workplace that empowers our employees while strengthening the foundations for long-term performance. A key priority for the board has been to maintain the robustness of our balance sheet while applying a disciplined capital allocation framework. Through careful investment and ongoing focus on operational efficiency, we have outlined a pathway towards our strategic target of achieving 40 kilotons copper equivalent tonnage per annum in 2028, supported by an improved unit cost position. This target represents a significant step forward in enhancing shareholder returns and ensuring the sustainability of our business over the long term. The company is making solid progress in executing its strategic priorities on time and within budget and guidance, as demonstrated by the 2025 results. The advancements achieved reflect the dedication of our management team and employees and demonstrate the strength of the strategic framework we have put in place. On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank the Aurelia leadership team, employees, contractors and business partners for their hard work and dedication during FY25. I also thank our shareholders and community stakeholders for your ongoing support and confidence. I'd like to thank my board colleagues for their continued support and sage advice during my tenure as chair of your company. This has been pivotal in successfully addressing the challenges we have faced together. Thanks again for your experience and input. To all of you, thank you. As I step down as chair at the end of this meeting, I'll be replaced by my colleague Bruce Cox, who will take up the role of interim chair whilst a broad search for a replacement continues. The process is well advanced. I wish Bruce the absolute best of luck in his new role. As I conclude my time as chair, I take great pride in the progress Aurelia has made over the past 4 years. The company is in a strong position, guided by a capable leadership team, a clear strategy and a commitment to safe and sustainable growth. I have every confidence that Aurelia will continue to build on this foundation and deliver long-term value for all stakeholders. There remains, though, a lot more work to do, and I wish you well for the future. Thank you for your continued support of Aurelia. So that's my missive. So I'll now pass over to Brian to provide his view as Managing Director and walk you through an operational summary.
Thanks, Peter. We are going to move through some slides for those online. Slide pack was released this morning, so we'll obviously talk through the slides as we go through. But it's an honour to address you today. I'm pleased to speak at a time marked by significant progress of enhancing shareholder value and also progressing our business strategy from where we were last year and the previous year. Our accomplishments in 2025 are the direct result of the well-defined purpose and strategies that Peter referred to and are consistently being delivered to the market. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the shareholders for their continued support and the confidence in Aurelia and what we're trying to achieve. Additionally, I'd like to extend my appreciation to the board of directors who are here with me today on the front bench, the executive leadership team and the operational exploration and support teams that actually work hard every day to make these results. Their commitment and professionalism is number one to me in terms of making these business results. So Martin, Andrew, Angus, Rochelle and Jessie are here today as the executive leadership team, so please get a chance to have a chat to them, ask them hard questions after the session, please. Look, I'll just refer to the forward-looking statement for your review and acknowledgement. In terms of an executive summary, Aurelia Metals is delivering strong returns today and is positioned for transformational growth in the critical minerals sector. This year represented a period of transition, execution, and strategic preparation for future growth. We safely met all guidance targets, delivered robust financial results, completed Federation within budget, and initiated the next phase of our growth projects, all achieved through self-funding while also closing the Dargues mine in the Southern Highlands. On to business highlights. The business has demonstrated continual financial improvement since FY24, which itself marked progress against the prior years. This performance reflects our commitment to executing strategy in a systematic and transparent manner. As of the 30th of June 2025, our cash position was 110 million in hand. EBITDA improved by 69% to 121.9 million, driving a significant turnaround to net profit after tax at 48.9 million, which is a very strong result for this company from where we've been. Notably, unit margins, costs remain robust and stable from FY24 to FY25. Considering all the inflationary pressures that do exist in the market, we maintained a flat unit cost structure over that period of time. And the balance sheet concluded the period in a very strong position to grow further. Notably, and very importantly, as Peter highlighted, we did this with an achievement of reducing our total recordable injuries frequency rate to just over 50%, which is a great credit to the team involved. In terms of executing our strategy, it's reasonably straightforward what we're trying to achieve. And I'll also just talk through step by step each one of these strategic drivers. But we're focused very much on sustainable delivering value, operating with discipline, focused growth, and having the right people, right mindset, which is really about the culture, coming to work every day and wanting to make a difference and improve our business and walk home with a sense of purpose as well. In terms of sustainability delivering value, in FY25, we did obviously prioritise, and we continue to prioritise ensuring everyone goes home safe each day after work. While the year concluded without any serious injuries, we still had injuries, which is unacceptable. And they were minor in terms of hand injuries and trips, falls type injuries. They are still things that we need to focus on to get better as a company to ensure our people go home every day the same way they come to work. We did maintain robust environmental compliance and focused very much on positive relationships with our community. We put investment into the community, into local procurement. We've prioritised that. We've also looked at very much how do we continue our charitable contributions to better the community for the people living in the community as well. And they're very important for us to ensure that we bring the community with us in our journey to be a better regional location. In terms of operating with discipline strategy, we're supported by strong financial results and an ESG performance. We've actually been able to navigate the complexities associated with our recent growth phases through our disciplined delivery. Our focus has been on efficiencies, productivity at both Peak and also the Federation project as it's come online. We've also been focused on increasing recoveries that you will see quarter on quarter as we report those to really get the better recoveries out of the ore as we ramp up Federation into the plant as well. We actually are implementing strategies to surpass production budgets for Federation in a cost-effective manner. We're doing that through really looking hard at how we can improve our volumes out of Federation to ramp up faster than we've sort of indicated to the market in the past. And lastly, we obviously did close Dargues at the start of FY25, and that complexity can't be undermined. It was a lot of work, but the team did it very successfully, and now it's in a remediation state where we're selling equipment and remediating the site. In terms of production results, as noted on this slide, we have achieved full production guidance for all of the metals. And as was reported in end of Q1 FY26, this remains on track in FY26. So that shows quarter on quarter for many, many quarters that we've actually been able to deliver that guidance. And we believe this year still in the same vein will achieve those results. Our cash and liquidity, the company maintains a solid financial standing supported by substantial liquidity and very much a focus on prudent management of our balance sheet. At the end of FY25, we reported cash holdings of 110 million with no outstanding debt and we hadn't used the 23.6 million loan note that was actually put in place. This position was achieved following an investment of around 84 million in growth, which includes our Federation growth and our exploration work. And this strategic allocation of resources is expected to yield significant returns in the coming years as we ramp up Federation and continue to unpack the exploration results that we've been announcing to the market through Nymagee and other locations. In terms of focused growth, during the year we announced our medium-term objective of reaching 40,000 copper equivalent tonnes, which is a big step in the right direction to us really putting a target out there that we're after coming into FY28. The ramp up of Federation is the first step towards achieving that, and also obviously ramping up the Peak mill to its full capacity, which it is now, and then with the expansion projects we're working on in the Peak plant, that's the additional move from 800,000 tonnes to 1.1 to 1.2 million tonnes. We've also kicked off the Great Cobar decline, which is heading towards the copper-rich Great Cobar deposit. That kicked off on the 1st of July, and that's well on track with both on a cost basis and a schedule basis at the moment, which is great news for us. Additionally, we launched the project to optimise the plant, as I mentioned, and that's also on track in terms of schedule and cost at this point in time, which is a great outcome for the team. So as I mentioned, all projects that we finished in FY25, Federation within budget, it's now gone to commercial production. We've now moved into Great Cobar and expanding the Peak plant. They are also at the end of Q1, both on schedule and on costs as well. So hopefully that gives people and investors confidence that we can deliver these projects in a very disciplined way. Exploration remains pivotal to our future strategy and for our organic growth options that Peter mentioned. We continually actively drilling the region inside of our footprint we have. And in FY25, Federation West extension was declared, and also more work was done on the Nymagee deposit, which also gave good results that we put to the market. Obviously, more work is being done around the region to look for the next opportunity we have from a greenfield point of view. But obviously, the Emerald release came out recently, showing that from the work in FY25, we upgraded our resource by 12%, and our reserves by 17%, which is a significant accomplishment for this company to be able to put those results out on top of the growth work, on top of the closing darks, on top of the very strong focus on getting our guidance delivered inside the ranges we put out to the market. Again, this really demonstrates the focus of this management team to give value to the shareholders. So we are a value-driven mining organisation. We are driven to really make sure we can do the best in the Cobar region. Our mission is to deliver robust returns to shareholders through being efficient and doing it in a sustainable way across our operations. We have the right exposure to the right metals. We've demonstrated we can manage a balance sheet to self-fund our growth over the last couple of years. We have productivity initiatives that are underway that will increase our margins, improve productivity, and lower our unit costs while we're growing. And we're in the region with high exploration prospectivity, as we've demonstrated through the Emerald results out recently. And we're well on track to having our major processing plant full this year, and with the expansion, we'll fill it again. Lastly, our management team remains committed to executing these strategic objectives and delivering sustainable value. Every day they come to work, every time we report the results. So our FY26 focus is really outlined in the priorities on the slide. They're all aligned to central objective of safely achieving our overarching business strategy. We're increasing production at Federation, advancing development initiatives at Great Cobar, and sustaining robust exploration activities. Looking forward to FY26 and beyond, our immediate emphasis is achieving guidance targets safely and obviously generating solid operating cash flows as we have done. Our medium-term goal, as Peter mentioned, is to deliver the 40,000 copper equivalent tonnes during FY28, supported by these mill expansions I talked about, supported by the Great Cobar project I talked about, and also supported by the ongoing ramp-up of the Federation project. These volumes projected to generate significant annual cash flow ranging from 100 million to 200 million in cash flow from operations. Ultimately, we are committed to building a resilient business characterised by financial strength and the strategic flexibility we can actually use from our resources. Importantly, we have the necessary infrastructure for people who have been out to Cobar and seen our infrastructure. We have the resource and our MRAW supports that. And our focus is really about building a really strong culture in the organisation and in the region. And that work is well underway to really ensure that our people come to work every day with a clear focus, clear sense of delivery, what they need to do, go home safely and feel they've actually accomplished something for the day. And always thinking about how we can make the organisation better is a key cultural attribute we're really seeking. We've made good progress in FY25, so much more to do though, and the team's very focused on that. So in closing, I want to thank all of the Aurelia personnel for their efforts in FY25 and their work so far in FY26. Their hard work and commitment underpins these results. And I can talk about these results because of their work they've put in, day out. I also want to thank you, our shareholders, for your ongoing support and challenge. I would especially like to thank Peter as the outgoing chair for his support and leadership over the last 4 years. As the ultimate test of success, Peter leaves this business in a better state than when he arrived, both from a strategic point of view and a financial point of view. We have built a business that is leaner, more resilient and ready for the next chapter. With major growth projects advancing, a strong balance sheet and a team that firmly believes we can do it, Aurelia is actually positioned very well for this exciting journey going forward. So without further ado, I'd now like to invite questions.
Thanks, Ryan. And just a reminder, if you'd like to ask questions from the floor initially, please show your blue or yellow card and give us your name or who you might be representing as a shareholder. So I'll throw it open to questions from the floor.
Roy Gillespie. It's just a question about the Federation mine. In the quarterly report, you said that it's ahead of mining plan. And what does that mean? Is it development meters or is it mine production or what?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So at the moment, we've put a more aggressive plan forward to try and achieve this year than was in the original budget. And what that's based on is you've got to get development ahead first, and that is going very, very well. And secondly, once development's ahead, then obviously you can bring in the machinery to start the stoping process, which is also ahead, as we did report at the Q1 position. So our aim is to come in for a full year ahead of what the numbers were. We haven't told the market what that number is yet, obviously. It's an internal thing, but rest assured our focus is to make sure we come in, I guess, ahead of what we put in the budget and what we put out in our sort of numbers to the market. The mine is performing very, very well. The ore is performing very, very well in terms of how it goes through the processing plant. So it's definitely an exciting time for Federation as we ramp up.
Any more questions from the floor? No? Rochelle, are there any questions online?
We do have a few questions online, Peter. The first question is from Stephen Main in terms of general questions. He's asked, when disclosing the outcome of voting on all resolutions today, please advise the ASX how many shareholders voted for and against each item, similar to with the scheme of arrangement. This will provide a better gauge of retail shareholder sentiment and insight into the chronically low retail shareholder participation rate. The likes of Qantas, ASX, Suncorp, Tabcorp, Myer, Flight Centre, Stockland and Computershare all voluntarily do this.
Thanks, Mr. Main, for your question. We certainly will look at disclosing numbers of shareholders. I can't give you, that's not something we're prepared to do today, but we will have a look at that and in the future look to see whether that's an appropriate move for us.
There's also another question for Mr. Peter Close. He's asked, can the company give guidance as to the amount of gold forwards sold for 2026 as a percentage of forecast production and also beyond 2026 and the price and also the same guidance for copper if relevant?
So in our quarterly reports, we provide that information. Every quarter we do provide what is the price and how much gold we're actually producing. So I would refer to that question to our quarterly reports. I don't have that in front of me right now, but that's in our quarterly reports. And all the details in the back actually for even the pricing we're receiving for that gold. Obviously, we do hedge, and that's obviously part of that information disclosure in the back as well.
No further questions.
Thank you. Well, there'll be opportunities to ask questions later on against the various specific resolutions being put to the meeting. So we'll now move on to the consideration of the formal terms of business, items of business for today's meeting. The notice of meeting sets out the resolutions proposed today. No notice of other business has been received in accordance with the Corporations Act, and so the only items of business to be presented today will be those specified in the notice of meeting. Firstly, I'd like to explain today's voting procedures. As stated in the notice of meeting, all resolutions will be put to a poll. I appoint Adrian Atkinson of Automic Group, the company share registry, who have examined and prepared summaries of the proxy forms received to act as a returning officer and to conduct the poll. If you are attending in person, please fill out your voting card and our Automic representative will collect your completed voting card at the appropriate time. If you're attending online, once the poll has been declared open, you will be able to vote. To do this, please select the voting drop-down menu on your screen. Then choose either full or allocate for your electronic voting card to appear. Follow the prompts to record your voting direction for each resolution, and when you are ready, click Submit Votes. Please note that once submitted, your vote cannot be changed. Resolution 1, relating to the remuneration report, is advisory only. All other resolutions are ordinary, which means that to be carried, they require 50% of the votes cast by members who are entitled to vote. Resolutions 1 and 4 are subject to voting exclusions, and further details about this are set out in the notice of meeting. As each resolution is discussed, the wording of each resolution and the results of the proxies received prior to the meeting will be shown on the screen behind me. The proxies received prior to the meeting represent 493,611,330 shares, or 29% of the issued capital of the company. To the extent permitted by the Corporations Act and the ASX listing rules, and subject to the voting exclusions detailed in the notice of meeting, all valid undirected proxies or open votes that have nominated the chair of the meeting as their proxy will be cast in favour of each of the resolutions outlined in the notice of meeting. Directors and executives identified as key management personnel will not be voting undirected proxy votes given to them for resolutions 1 and 4. The poll, and therefore online voting portal, is now open and will remain open until I declare the poll closed. Your votes must be submitted prior to the poll being closed for them to count. If you are online and you do not see the green open icon, please refresh your page now. I will now move to the first item of business. The first item is to receive and consider Aurelia's FY25 financial statements, the director's report, and the independent auditor's report. As no resolution is required, there'll be no voting on this item. Kelly McKenzie from Ernst & Young is available to answer any questions you may have regarding the audit of the company. Are there any comments or questions from shareholders in the room regarding the financial statements or the audit of the company? Kelly, no, it's your last gig as well. So yeah, but thank you for your efforts over many years. Rochelle, are there any questions for online attendees? No, thank you, Kelly. Thank you for all your efforts and your contribution to Aurelia for whilst you've been our key contact point for audit. There being no further questions or no questions, we will now move to resolution 1. And resolution 1 relates to a non-binding resolution required by the Corporations Act in relation to the FY25 remuneration report. The wording of the resolution and the proxies received in relation to this resolution are now shown on the screen. The presentation of the remuneration report is a requirement for ASX listed companies. The company's remuneration report is included in the company's 2025 annual report. The remuneration report sets out the remuneration of Aurelia's directors, management personnel, and Aurelia's remuneration policies in respect of the key management personnel. In accordance with the Corporations Act, this vote is advisory only and does not bind the directors or the company. Are there any comments or questions from shareholders in the room regarding the remuneration report? No? And Rochelle, are there any questions online?
There are 2 questions, Peter, both from Mr. Stephen Mayne. The first question is, best practice is now to disclose the proxy position to the ASX along with the formal addresses to offer more timely disclosure to the market and a more fully informed AGM debate. The likes of Origin, NAB, Car Group, Viva Energy, Webjet, Zero, Myer, Brambles and JB Hi-Fi all do this. Will you adopt this practice at future shareholders meetings, and have there been any material proxy protest votes on any of today's resolutions, including this remuneration report item?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Mayne. I would say that normally proxy reports and proxy advisors generally tend to concentrate on the larger companies in the stock exchange rather than necessarily on a company the size and shape of Aurelia. So I think the questions that, or the companies that you quote are quoted in that question are significantly larger. To my knowledge, there was only one proxy advisor that actually opined on Aurelia's results and reports, and there were no issues with that proxy advisor demonstrating full support for the various resolutions that have been put. I don't believe there are any other proxy advisors that covered Aurelia this year. Happy to again look into whether that's an appropriate thing to do. Obviously, it depends a lot on the coverage, but there's nothing to hide now in the business, so we'll look at that as well.
Thank you. Next question, also from Mr. Stephen Mayne. 29% of the total issued capital register is a low proxy turnout for a company of this size. Is this because we have a large retail base, or are there large individual shareholders who will vote on the day in the room? What explains why 71% of the total shares on issue weren't voted by proxy ahead of today's meeting?
I've been in the business for close to 50 years, and I find it still quite hard to look into the minds of shareholders necessarily as to how they vote and what drives them and when. But clearly, there is a very significant shareholder that is obviously yet to vote, and it'll be up to that individual to vote or not. I think that's the primary reason for the size and shape of the of the present voting numbers.
Thanks, Peter. No other questions.
Okay, thank you. I put to the meeting resolution 1, therefore, please record your vote in relation to resolution 1 by choosing for, against, or abstain on your screen or voting card. Shareholders voting online are reminded that votes cannot be amended once submitted. So we now vote on resolution 1. 2, 3. Resolution 2. The next item of business is resolution 2, which is the re-election of Bruce Cox as a non-executive director. The wording of the resolution and the proxies received in relation to this resolution are shown on the screen. Bruce's credentials are outlined in the notice of meeting, but I'll now ask Bruce to address shareholders regarding his re-election. So over to you, Bruce.
Peter, thank you. So I hope you don't mind me just spending a couple of minutes on my CV, my resume. In 4 days' time, it will be my anniversary for working in the resources sector for 45 years. So I'm sort of looking forward to Monday when I've got 45 years in the industry. I've worked lived in across 6 countries: Zimbabwe, Chile, Canada, US, UK, and most states of Australia. I've worked in mineral processing, which includes alumina refining, aluminium smelting, and steel making. In the mining sector, I've worked in the copper mining sector, iron ore, diamonds, bauxite, and the platinum group metals. I have had many years of exposure to both open pit and underground operations, including the interesting challenging of mining under a lake in the Northwest Territories of Canada. It was diamonds, so it was worth it. I'm familiar with and have had operations in block cave and stoping mining techniques across various commodities. I'm currently on 4 boards. I'm on a resource conglomerate based out of Indonesia called United Tractors. I am on the board of the world's largest single-site aluminium smelter based out of Bahrain called Aluminium Bahrain, or ALBA. I'm on the advisory board for one of the largest conglomerates in Saudi Arabia called Ajlan Brothers. And of course, I'm on Aurelia Metals. As our public announcement has stated, I'll be acting chairman for the duration of the time frame to replace Peter, who's retiring from this board. I would like to also thank Peter for his leadership of this board over the past 6 years. And maybe as acting chairman, just confirm the focus on the key elements, 5 key elements of what the board has focused on in the past and will continue to focus on. First of all, safe, reliable and efficient operations. Secondly, very much focused on ensuring a motivating rate of return for shareholders on all capital investments. Ensuring professionally the execution of all of our key growth projects. The 2 primary ones is Great Cobar and our plant expansions at Peak. A disciplined allocation of funding for our exploration program, which is the future of the company, and ensuring the robustness and resilience of our balance sheet during the current capital investment phase. So with that, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you, Bruce. Bruce's re-election is unanimously supported by the rest of the board. Are there any questions, comments from the floor? No? Any questions online?
No questions online.
No. Okay, thanks very much. I now put to the meeting resolution 2. Please record your vote in relation to resolution 2 by choosing for, against or abstain on your screen or voting card. The next item of business is resolution 3, which is the election of Rachel Brown as a non-executive director. The wording of the resolution and the proxies received in relation to this resolution are shown on the screen. Rachel's credentials are outlined in the notice of meeting. But I now ask Rachel to address shareholders regarding her election.
Thank you, Chair, and the shareholders for the opportunity to serve on the board of Aurelia Metals Limited. I would also like to acknowledge my fellow directors, Lynn, Bruce, Bob, Susie, Brian, for their warm welcome, and I extend my best wishes to Peter, and I welcome Bruce as interim chair. Over the past decade, I've served on boards and board committees in education, tourism, infrastructure, and disability sectors, including chairing our Risk and Compliance Committee. My executive career is as a head of operations for our family agribusiness, property and family office, with a focus on digital transformation, operational efficiency, asset management and compliance. I recently completed my MBA at the University of Queensland, including a leadership program at Harvard, building on earlier qualifications in economics, law and governance. Earlier in my career, I practiced as a commercial and infrastructure lawyer for more than a decade, including as a senior associate at King & Wood Mallisons and then in-house with Queensland Motorways during the consolidation of Brisbane's toll road network ahead of its sale to Transurban. Across mining and agribusiness, I see shared challenges and opportunities, operating safely in regional communities, relying on skilled workforce and contractors, managing complex supply chains, and maintaining disciplined capital allocation and a long-term approach to value creation. I am pleased to bring my independence, governance, law, and operational experience to Aurelia, and I look forward to working with the board and management to support safe, reliable operations and sustainable long-term value to all shareholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Rachel's election is unanimously supported by the rest of the board. Are there any comments or questions from shareholders in the room regarding resolution 3?
Oh, no, it's not. You said it at most before. I'd just like to make a statement that I did not vote prior to the meeting. I believe in voting at meetings. So my vote doesn't come up shown on that board. So that looks close. You can add another 380 million onto Rachel's numbers for me. So that makes it look proper rather than what it's up there.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for the detail.
We have one question online, Peter, from Mr. Stephen Main. Could new director, Ms. Rachel Brown, and the chair please comment on the recruitment process that led to her appointment to the board? Was a headhunter involved? Did the board interview any other candidates? And did Rachel know any of our other directors before engaging with the recruitment process?
The recruitment process was one where we did and have an ongoing review of directors and skills on the Aurelia board, and Rachel's appointment. It was part of that process, and that process is ongoing to also identify a possible other directors that can fill that the required skills that we think are necessary to carry Aurelia forward. The process right now is absolutely involving an appropriate, well-regarded headhunting firm, and that process is, I say, ongoing. The refreshment of the board is part of our process, and as I say, whether we find another chair or Bruce goes from interim to full time is we will see.
No other questions.
Okay. I now put to the meeting resolution 3. Please record your vote in relation to resolution 3 by choosing for, against or abstain on your voting cards. Resolution 4. The next item of business is resolution 4, which seeks shareholder approval to issue performance rights to the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer. Rights to Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer Brian Quinn under the company's long-term incentive plan. The wording of the resolution and the proxies received in relation to this resolution are shown on the screen. As Mr. Quinn is a director of the company, shareholder approval of the proposed issue of performance rights to Mr. Quinn must be obtained under ASX listing rule 10.14.1 before the performance rights can be issued. The grant of performance rights will in due course involve the issue of ordinary shares in the company, one ordinary share for one performance right. If the rights vest upon the satisfaction of certain vesting conditions, which are measured over the 3-year period from 1 July 25 to 30 June 28. Are there any comments or questions from shareholders in the room regarding resolution 4? No. And Rochelle, are there any questions online?
Another question has just come in online, Peter, from Mr. Stephen Main. If no proxy advisor recommended against any resolution today, can you please explain the protest vote against Rachel's election, which wasn't repeated on this resolution?
Can you say that? I'm.
If no proxy advisor recommended against any resolution today, can you explain the protest vote against Rachel's election, which wasn't repeated on this resolution?
Well, again, I don't think I could comment on why people vote yes or no, particularly. Everybody has their views of life. There were no, in my knowledge, no negative proxy advice from the sole proxy advisor that opined on Aurelia's various resolutions. I think I'm right there, Brian.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm not game to understand why necessarily shareholders vote for or against, unless they tell me directly. So with that in mind, I put the meeting resolution 4. Please record your vote in relation to resolution 4 by choosing for, against or abstain on your screen or voting card. As that's the last item of business, the online voting platform will now be closed. Can all those voting online please ensure that you have submitted your votes? Can all shareholders in the room please complete your voting card, and our Automic representative will collect them, and will allow another minute or so before I close the poll.
Okay, whilst we wait on that, we've had one more general question come through. Rita?
Yes.
It's directed to Mr. Brazel. Mr. Brazel, last year I asked you why you bought shares in Aurelia. I assume as you have significantly increased your stake again this year that your opinion hasn't changed. I am interested to know if you consider yourself a long-term shareholder. Why have you built a stake over 20%? Thank you. And that is from Mr. Anthony Wallace.
Me on the spot.
Sorry about that.
Yes, well, firstly, I believe in supporting any team that I belong to. That's the first thing. And yeah, so that's what I've done is support the team and the company. And I make value judgment about shares every day. And some are right, some of them are wrong. But once again, I believe this company has a good resource, and we're now in a stable financial position. It should continue to succeed. So at this stage, I'm a continuing shareholder. At my age, I don't know for how long. I'm not as old as everybody, but no.
Yes, you
Thanks, Lynn, for that clarification. Okay, as that is the last item of business, the formal part of the meeting can now be concluded. And I declare the poll closed. The results of the poll will be declared and released to the ASX after the conclusion of the meeting. Thank you all for attending today. As I've mentioned before, as this marks my final AGM as chair, I'd like to take the opportunity to personally acknowledge and thank our shareholders, my fellow directors, and the entire Aurelia team for your support over the years. Together, we've navigated periods of significant challenge and change. I step down as chair confident that Aurelia is on the path to sustainable growth and long-term value creation for all stakeholders. Thank you once again. It's been an honour to serve you as chair. I now declare the 2025 Annual General Meeting closed, and obviously we welcome those who are attending in person to join us for tea, coffee and refreshments after the meeting. And please engage with other members of Aurelia's executive and board team. So thank you, everybody.